Welcome, students from Mrs. Stewart's class. I'm so glad that you're here at the library today because we are going to be talking about your reading project. I know that you guys need to know a lot of information about copyright, so that's what we're going to talk about today. With our friend Leo, we are going to learn everything that we need to know about copyright. So first, let's talk about your learning objective for your project. Given digital resources and websites, you will be able to demonstrate what is acceptable, fair use of original works by researching and creating a final project for your reading class, which includes using original works like images or videos by other authors and artists. So by the end of today's lesson, you are going to be able to say that you can safely practice responsible legal and ethical behavior while using digital tools and resources. You'll also be able to abide by copyright laws and the fair use guidelines for educational materials. So without further ado, let's talk about Leo. Leo was a boy much like you, and his favorite class was art. He thought that making art was the best thing in the whole wide world. In art class, he got to learn about painting, sculptures, mosaics, and all kinds of different other art forms. He loved anything and everything that let him express his ideas and thoughts. One day in art class, Mrs. Florentine, the art teacher, taught the class about portraits. And Leo decided to draw a portrait of his friend Lisa. He tried really hard and did his very best work. It took him a really long time. But when he was finished, he was really quite pleased. He called his art Mona Lisa, and he decided to show it to all of his friends. And there's a picture of Leo with his portrait. Doesn't it look great? When he showed it to the art teacher, Mrs. Florentine, she said, "Why, Leo, this is a masterpiece. I'm going to put it in the museum corner." And when she hung it there, it made Leo beam with pride. But by the end of the day, there were 7 other portraits that looked nearly the same as his. Even some of the names were similar. There was a Mona Lisa, a Mona Kate, a Mini Lisa, and a Mona Nora. How do you think Leo felt about that? Leo wanted to keep his work in the museum corner, and he wanted to be proud, but it didn't feel nice that so many people had copied the picture that he had worked so hard on. So Leo went home feeling sad and not really sure what to do. The next day in art class, Leo sat glumly, with his head in his arms and a frown on his face. But when Mrs. Florentine walked into the room, she didn't talk to them about art. She sat them all on the carpet and taught them something else. Mrs. Florentine taught them about copyright. Copyright was like a superhero that protected special creations which expressed ideas. These are things like books, stories, songs, plays, and art. Copyright protected art like Leo's. Mrs. Florentine explained that ideas like just creating a portrait of Lisa were not protected by copyright, but the way that Leo expressed that idea was protected, meaning the way that he painted his specific portrait. So the way that Lisa was posed, with that smile, and with the hair, and with the clothes, that was protected by copyright. Leo owned the things that he had created, which meant that nobody could copy Leo's artwork without his permission. Being a copyright owner also meant that only Leo could make derivative works, which are works based on his original work. So all of the Mini Kates and Mona Lisas were derivative works. If anyone tried to make a copy of the original work, or tried to make a work that derived too much from the original, it would be considered infringement. And infringement means that they were breaking the copyright law. Mrs. Florentine also explained about fair use. As long as other kids didn't try to pretend that they drew the Mona Lisa picture, or they didn't try to sell the picture, that was considered fair use, and they could have a copy of Leo's pretty picture. Leo once again felt joyful and proud of his work, now that his friends knew that it was wrong of them to copy his work like they had. And, sure enough, one by one, they apologized for using his art to copy, and they went back to creating their own ideas, working hard, making their own pictures. Leo, knowing that his friends wouldn't copy his work anymore, went back to creating more masterpieces. So it may surprise you to know, but this is actually a portrait of Leonardo da Vinci. Leo is based on a real artist from long ago named Leonardo da Vinci. Since Leonardo died a long time ago, his art isn't protected by copyright anymore and is now considered part of the public domain. The public domain is a series of images and work that has been created a long time ago and means that it belongs to everyone and can be freely used. But copyright still protects a lot of your favorite artists, like Eric Carle, who you might know as the author of The Very Hungry Caterpillar. It protects artists like Mo Willems, who's created a lot of work like Pigeon, Gerald and Piggy. And it also protects authors of books like Jeff Kinney, who wrote Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Copyright is a valuable tool that lets artists, writers, and musicians share their own masterpieces without worrying that someone else will try to take credit for creating it. It also allows the creators to not worry that someone else will try to make money off of their own work. So now you'll see that you have a handout with a lot of the terms that we discussed. But on the bottom of that handout, there's a little box, and I would like everyone to draw something that they like. When you're done, you're going to talk about what you drew with your table and discuss what it would feel like if someone copied your drawing. Try using some of the copyright terms on the handout to describe your feelings. So even though this is a group discussion, it is still going to be graded. So try to stay on topic. Make sure that you show that you understand what copyright terms mean, and make sure to listen to other people's presentations. At this point, we're also going to do a Kahoot quiz. So get your devices ready. Go to kahoot.it. And in just a second, we will get our Kahoot pin. You can see our game pin is 616528. Go ahead and enter that into your devices. And all right, I think we're ready to start. There will be 5 questions to this Kahoot copyright quiz. So the first question is, what is copyright? Is it a document that shows you how to use a copy machine, rights that protect works from wrongful distribution or sale, rights that allow users to copy whatever they like, or copyright isn't a real thing? We have another 40 seconds for you to answer what you think is right. Alrighty. Let's move on to the next question. What allows you to use a work as long as you don't take credit for, sell, or reproduce it? We have another 25 seconds for this question. Great job! Moving on to the next question. What is infringement? Is it bangs, fair use, upholding copyright law, or is it violating copyright law? Great job! Our fourth question is, what do you call the works that belong to everyone? Stealing, copy, public domain, or group projects? And our final question, what is permission? Being allowed to do something, design, infringement, it's a root vegetable. I am so proud of you guys. So I'm really glad that we went through that Kahoot quiz together. And I know that we talked a lot about copyright, but for your reading project, you're supposed to use images and video. So how can you do that responsibly? How can we use images, video, and other pieces of other works in our projects without breaking the copyright law? Well, we can give credit to the right people. Because of fair use, we can still use text, images, or video clips if we give credit to the original creators, as long as we aren't making money off of their work. So to do this, we need to create citations. Citations are a way to indicate to others where you found the original material that you used in your own work. So there are many different kinds of citation formats, but most of them will require the same basic information. They will ask that you mention the author or the creator of the work. So that could be an artist like Leonardo da Vinci, or it could be an author like Jeff Kinney. They will ask for the title of the work. You also need to make sure that you mention the date when it was created and information on how you found that piece of material. So you can say that you got it from a certain book and what page number that you found it in that book. You can say that you found it on a website and mention the URL address. So we're not going to worry too much about sticking to one specific citation format for 4th grade, but we do want to make sure that you are citing the work in a very logical manner. So first you're going to mention the author or creator of the work. Then you're going to write the title of the work and make sure that the title of the work is differentiated somehow. You can do this by italicizing, you can do this by underlining, followed by a period. Then you're going to mention the date when that work was created, followed by another period, and then the book or website title that you found it from, also differentiated using italics or underlining, something like that. If you found it on a website, make sure to mention what date you looked at the website, and then type in the website address as well. If you found it from a book, you'll want to make sure that you list information on when that book was published, who the publisher was, and the page number. So, you may have noticed in my presentation on copyright, I also used some images that I didn't create personally. I used an image of Leonardo da Vinci, I used pictures of Eric Carle and Mo Willems' work, as well as Jeff Kinney's. So, I created my own works cited to hopefully give you a better idea of what your citations will look like. So you'll see the first image, I actually don't know who that artist is that did the portrait of Leonardo da Vinci. It's okay if you can't find out that information, as long as you try really hard and still give as much information as you do know. You'll see that it's followed by the title of the image, Portrait of Leonardo da Vinci, and the date that it was created, 1885. I wrote the website that I got it off of, which was Wikimedia Commons, which is a great website for finding images that you can use in presentations. I also mentioned the date when I accessed the image on the website that follows. You'll notice that you don't necessarily have to have all of the information, like in image 1 where I didn't know the artist, or in image 3 where I didn't know the date. It's okay to still cite something even when you don't know all of the information. Just try your best, and that's all that you need to do. you'll notice that all of my citations in my works cited followed that example citation format. I made sure to differentiate the title of the work and book site or website title using italics, and all of them followed the same order. So for your reading project, Mrs. Stewart is going to grade you on certain things. First of all, we want to make sure that the content in your project is accurate. But another important thing is that you show that you understand copyright, the concept attainment. You can do this by using the different images, video clips, whatever you want in your reading project, as long as you give credit and use that citation format. We also want to see originality. We want to see that you're expressing your own ideas, just like Leo expressed his own idea when he drew that portrait of Lisa. So now you have everything that you need to know about copyright. But just to be sure, let's talk about our learning objective. Given digital resources, 4th grade students will be able to demonstrate what is acceptable fair use of original works by researching and creating a final project for your reading class, which includes using original works by other authors or artists. And our standards, I hope that when I read these statements out loud, you will agree with me. But by now, you can practice safe, responsible, legal, and ethical behavior while using digital tools and resources. You can abide by copyright laws and fair use guidelines for educational materials. Class, thank you so much for coming today, and I hope you have so much fun researching your project. If you have any questions at any time, please let me or Mrs. Stewart know. Good luck!